Chapter 1 of Poppy and Rye by Abby. Clover and Valoran. Clover, love, you need to wake up. Something awful is happening. Clover, a golden mouse, was small, round, and fast asleep in a snug corner of her underground nest. Too sleepy to make sense of the words being spoken to her, she opened her silky black eyes, looked up, and gasped. Was that Ragweed leaning over her? Ragweed was a particular favorite of her 63 children. He had gone east in search of adventures, but had not been heard for 4 months. Clover missed him terribly, and kept wishing he'd come back. Her eyes focused, she could see more clearly now. Valoran? She asked. Is that you? Valoran was Clover's husband. He was a long-faced, lanky, middle-aged golden mouse with shabby fur of orange hue and scruffy whiskers edged with gray. His face bore the fixed expression of being perpetually overwhelmed without knowing what to do about it. At the moment, his tail was whipping about in great agitation. Is something the matter with the children? Clover asked. She had recently given birth to a new litter, her 4th that year, and was so tired she hadn't ventured from the nest in more than a week. They're fine, Valoran assured her. But Clover, you've got to see what I've discovered. You're not going to believe it. Can't you just tell me what it is? Clover replied with a yawn. She never got enough sleep. Clover, Valoran whispered, we're in great danger. A startled Clover looked about the rest of the nest where she and Valoran and all their children had made a home for 6 happy years. A small, deep, and comfortable nest consisting of 3 chambers. Each of its rooms was lined with milkweed fluff. There was a family room, a master bedroom, and the children's nursery, where 13 of her children were currently sleeping. The most recent litter, 3 in number and barely a week old, were still blind and without fur. They were with Clover. Clover, love, Valoran urged. Please get up. It's not the children, but it will affect them badly. With Clover, an appeal to family never failed. She forced herself up. The 2 mice made their way up the entry hole to the ground surface. The long, twisting tunnel had a few storage rooms, one filled with nuts, another with dried berries, and a 3rd with seeds built into the walls. Though Clover was as usual hungry, there was no time to eat. When Valoran reached the ground surface, he stuck his nose out of the entry hole, sniffed, and gazed about. Certain there were no foxes, wildcats, or snakes, or any other danger about, he hauled himself out of the hole. Clover followed. Tall, leafy bushes and brambles veiled the late summer sky, a sky aglow with the light of a full moon. The air was humid, the breeze soft. Barks and buzzes, grunts and chirps seemed to come from everywhere but nowhere at once. Valoran scampered down one of the many paths that radiated from the nest. When he took the path that followed a steep decline, Clover knew they were headed for the brook. The brook, as the mice called it, meandered lazily between low, leafy banks. Water lilies floated on its wide, shallow surface. There fireflies flashed, butterflies danced, mosquitoes like ancient instruments droned. Waterbugs scooted, cattails standing tall swayed to the rhythms of the night. With nothing rough or dangerous about the brook, the young mice loved to frolic about its banks. Rarely was the water more than 6 inches deep. Splendid to splash in, fun to swim in. Sometimes the mice made rafts of bark chips and went boating. Indeed, it was the closeness of the brook and its serenity that caused Clover and Valoran to build their nest and raise their family where they did. That night, everything was changed. The water was muddier and deeper than it ever before had been. A full 3 feet of bare earth at the base of the pathway, the children's beach had sunk beneath water. Lily pads and cattails were gone. No bugs teased the brook's surface. Chips of wood floated here, there, everywhere. Look, Valoran cried in a hushed voice. He pointed downstream. At first, Clover didn't see it. Only gradually did she perceive the massive mound of sticks, twigs, and logs that spread across the full width of the stream. Why, my goodness, she gasped. It's a dam. But why? Valoran pointed to the water's edge. What should I be looking at? Asked the puzzled Clover. The water, Valoran whispered. Watch. Clover stared until, with a shock, she jumped back. Valoran, she cried. The water's rising. Exactly. But if it keeps coming this fast, our home will be flooded. Valoran nodded. Clover, love, I'm afraid the whole neighborhood is going under. But, Clover stammered, who would do such a dreadful thing? Take a gander out there, Valorant urged. This time he pointed across the water. Clover stared. At first she thought she was seeing nothing more than a floating brown lump of earth or wood. Then with a start she realized it was an animal swimming on the water surface. He was a large, portly fellow with thick, glossy brown fur, a black nose, and 2 beady eyes. 2 enormous buck teeth, brilliant orange in the light of the moon, stuck out from his mouth like chisels. "A beaver!" Clover exclaimed. Just to say the word brought understanding. Beavers had come and dammed the brook. As Clover and Valorant stared, the beaver saw them. Lifting his water-soaked head, he offered an immense toothy smile. "Bless my teeth and smooth my tail," the beaver called out in a loud, raucous voice. "I do believe it's my new neighbors. Hey, pal, evening, sweetheart. Tickled pink to meet up with you. The name is Castor P. Canad, but everyone calls me Cass. Hey," he added with another tooth again, "you're more than a purple plastic bead. Sorry. You know what the old philosopher said? A stranger is just a friend you haven't met. As for me, I'm head of the construction co that's doing the work here. Canad and co progress without pain. That's our motto. But you destroyed our brook," Clover managed to say. "Easy does it, sweetheart. Easy does it," Mr. Canad boomed with insistent good nature. "Don't need to make a mountain out of a molehill, do we? Or for that matter," he added with a laugh that set his belly to shaking, "an ocean out of a puddle." Without saying another word, Valorant and Clover turned back and fled up the path. "Have a nice day," the beaver shouted after them, though it was the middle of the night. I mean that sincerely. As the 2 mice dashed toward the nest, all Clover could think was, "Oh, Ragweed, please, please come home. We need you." "Where are you?"